Doing a quick summary of my night so far. I went out, the rare event that I actually bother going to stores to do anything, and I went to Best Buy to get myself the Cyberpunk game for Switch 2, because I'm like, you know what, let's collect it all. And plus, there's a lot of trash talking about the game, so I'm like, I feel compelled to own this on another system. So now I have it on PS4, technically PS5, on Steam, and on GOG. And then I think I have another copy floating around somewhere. Anyway, that aside, point is, of my whole little adventure here is when I was at Best Buy. Now, this is a little sketchy to me, but apparently AMD has some rep dude at the store that I was at. I don't know if every Best Buy has these assholes or some shit. I'm calling him an asshole. I don't think he is personally one. He's just a sales dude as far as I could tell. But he didn't know anything about what the fuck he was selling, but he was doing some sketchy shit. And to summarize what sketchy shit he was doing, he was hanging out in the Switch aisle, trying to persuade kids and parents to not buy a Switch and to instead buy the current about to be replaced ROG Ally X. So not the Xbox one that's coming out soon, but the current one that's been out for over a year. And he was talking to these kids, telling them this shit, like, hey, if you want something better than the Switch that can play a lot more games, you should go over to that side of the store and check out the ROG Ally X. And my only thought was, you sketchy motherfucker. So he starts talking to me, trying to do the same shit with me. And he didn't, I guess he didn't get the vibe with how I speak and shit like that I'm a, fucking ridiculous techie when it comes down to this kind of shit. And I asked him, are you telling them, is the new one already available? Because he just said Ally X. He didn't mention anything other than that. And the fact that he's pushing it, I'm assuming it was, a new thing. But it turns out he's actually pushing the old one because old product, let's push that shit because we're not getting as many sales as the Switches. So let's see if we can persuade people to do that instead. So these guys are at the actual section of, I don't know how many people have actually been to a physical Best Buy in the past year or two, but they've stopped selling a lot of stuff in the actual aisles. You'll see some things here and there, but most of the stuff, if it's newer, will be at the actual front counter, so the checkout area. Anyway, so this dude is doing his little pitch to me, and I start getting into the tech talk with him. I'm like, wait, is this the new one that's Xbox themed? And he said, no, that's the one that has a Z2 Extreme processor. I'm like, that's, if I was going to be thinking about what to buy right now, if that was available, that's what I would be looking at, not whatever the hell you're talking about, because the old one wasn't enough to get me even remotely interested. But the key thing here was he was lying. So he was telling people that the hardware, at least he was telling me, I don't know if he told this to other kids in the store that night, or tonight, or yesterday, or earlier, whenever fuck other day he was in there. But he was telling me that the hardware is about the same, that the Z1 processor versus the Z2, those SoC chips are the same. Only difference is that one has a little bit newer technology and shit like that. I'm like, huh? So I asked him about FSR technology and all that shit. He doesn't know what the fuck I'm talking about. And I asked him about the processor spec. I'm like, yo, it's 24 gigs of memory versus the 8 or 12 or whatever the fuck the other ones have. So, I told him, I can do this all night. I can literally get into tech talk literally all fucking night. I gotta go, so I let him go. But he didn't know what the hell I was talking about when it came down to hardware. So the quick summary here is Nintendo doesn't have direct competition for the mobile market necessarily because they're kind of niche because, Nintendo's Nintendo. But you got people from representing AMD or claiming to be representing AMD, rocking the hat, the shirt, and all that shit. But they're in the Switch aisles trying to push people at Best Buys to, I don't know if they're doing this everywhere, but this one store had this problem. This dude is just trying to push people to buy ROG hardware because it's AMD. It's AMD Silicon. But as soon as I hear this guy talking about this shit to these kids, all I'm thinking is what the fuck, man? You got kids that are looking for Nintendo stuff for a reason. They want to play Mario Kart. They want to play Zelda games and shit like that, or whatever the hell the latest RPGs are for that shit, because I'm paying too much attention to this shit. And this dude's just lying to people, telling them, yo, get the ROG Ally, you can play so many more games. Yeah, you can play more games on a PC portable. However, you're not going to play Nintendo games without doing some, gray market type shit, doing some bordering on Nintendo would not be too happy with what you're doing kind of shit. Granted, I'm not exactly the person who kisses the ass of any fucking manufacturer, any provider of video games or developer, any of that shit. It's not my way. But I'm not in the in the world of promoting someone to buy something just because they can use it to emulate stuff without them specifically understanding the risks involved with doing such a thing. Because there are some potential risks if you were to do something stupid, you know? But yeah, that's kind of the end of my little experience here. The rest of my notes is, hey, I drove. Yay, get the car, get the turbo to spin up a little bit, all that shit. Anyway, that's it. Adios. Bye.